there friends, Justine here. I'm the Mermaid Seamstress, and today we're going to be talking about how to travel with your mermaid tails. So before we jump into today's videos, I want to make a couple of announcements. The first, and the reason for this video, is that I will be traveling next week back home to the Bahamas, where I will be filming a ton of footage for you guys. I plan to be doing a ocean swimming safety video, as well as a couple of swim videos, and trying out my new mythic tail from Finfolk Productions. It is going to be a great time. Second announcement, that being said, I'm not sure, because next weekend, when I usually post, is going to be my traveling day. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a video out for you guys next week. I will try my best. The same goes for the week after that. So for the next 2 weeks, I may or may not have a video out for you guys. We shall see, but keep an eye on my social media pages. If you ever want to know anything that's going on about me, about my channel, it will always be on my social media pages. I highly encourage you to follow me on my other social media platforms. Those are linked around my YouTube channel. My Twitter handle is @mermaidseams. My Instagram is Mermaid Seamstress, and my Tumblr is The Mermaid Seamstress. Same way it's spelled on my YouTube channel. Now, without further ado, once you go and subscribe and follow to my social media accounts, let's get on with today's video. So the first thing I want to cover in this video is how to travel with monofins. Now, usually when I go to the pool, I walk to the pool. It's like right down the road from me. I carry multiple monofins, and I carry my swim bag, and I carry them separately. Mostly because I can fit all my tails and my swim stuff in my swim bag, my towel, all that jazz, in my swim bag, but the only obstacle is I cannot fit my monofin in there. Now, if I was only bringing one monofin, say I was just bringing my mahina, I can bring it separately, just carrying it by the foot straps, not a big deal. If you are carrying your monofin to the pool with you and you're driving in a car, you can do the same thing. Just toss your monofin in the back of the car, carry it with you into the pool just by itself. However, if you're like me and you take multiple monofins to the pool, like 3 or 4, you might not want to carry 3 or 4 monofins individually by the foot straps. That's just a big hassle, and I don't want to do it. So, I actually made myself a monofin bag out of a mesh laundry bag. This is just an old laundry bag that I had lying around. And essentially, it is a rectangle, and as you can see, I have my fin fun and my Aquarius in there already. It's just a rectangular bag. So this bag is big enough to fit my mahina in and my rapid. So I chose a bag that was wide enough for my biggest monofins. But I like the fact that it's mesh because, one, this is a really strong mesh. It's not going to rip, it's not going to tear. It's a really strong mesh. But also, it allows air to flow through. And what that means is I can bring these monofins to the pool, I can set them on the edge of the pool, I can put wet monofins into the bag, and they're still going to be able to dry in the bag. So that means, I swim every day, and unpacking and repacking the monofins is not the most convenient thing. So I just let them dry in the bag. Now, that's not a big deal for me. If you're going to have them in the bag long term, if you are going to store them for long term, I would recommend making sure that they are completely dry, then putting them back in the bag and putting them in storage. But this is a really easy option for me because I swim every day, so they're only in the bag for a day at a time. And this bag is super great These straps are really comfortable. If you don't have, if you don't want to put backpack straps on them, another option is to take a sash or a piece of ribbon. Just make sure that it's a good couple inches thick, so that it doesn't dig into your shoulders too badly. And you want to do the same thing. Make the triangle. The two corners at the bottom, and then in the middle at the top. And what this does is it makes sure that the straps aren't going to slip off your shoulders, and they're not going to be set too wide on your shoulders, so that it's uncomfortable. They're going to keep the weight right where you need them to be, right on your shoulders, but they're also going to create the most support at the bottom of the bag itself. And that's a really easy option. As you can see, like, I can fit all of my monofins in here, not just 2 or 3, but I can fit all 6 of my monofins that I have at school into this bag, no problem. Super easy to carry because it's just a backpack. And then I just take it to the pool, like no big deal. It's a drawstring top, so I just drawstring, tie a little knot to keep the drawstring in place, and I'm good to go at the pool. I, however, do not keep any of my bathing suits or my tailskins in here for the reason that they can go into my regular swim bag, which is just a small duffel bag, which I don't have to show you right now because it's in my locker at the pool. So now let's talk about how to carry your tailskins. Obviously, you want to take the monofin out of the tailskin for storage. If you leave the monofin in the tailskin, you risk stretching out the tailskin, and it's a greater likelihood that you're going to rub or damage the fluke of your tail if you leave the monofin in the tail. So what I do instead is I just roll them up. So I fold each of my tailskins in half. This is a tailskin actually that I made a couple weeks ago, and you can see the tutorial for this tailskin on my channel. The link will be in the description box below and in the iCard above, so keep an eye out for that. But this tailskin is just plain fabric. I just fold it in half like that, and I roll it up nice and neat. This keeps the material from wrinkling too badly, as well as makes it nice and compact and easy to put into any bag you want. Now, the other part of that is that I always keep with me either a plastic bag or a dry bag. These are really great. They have, they just roll down like this and clip closed. And you can put anything in here. They're like a raincoat material, so anything that you want to put into the bag can stay dry, or it can keep a wet thing from getting the rest of your bag wet. So what I do with my mermaid tails is that when they're dry, I roll them up and I put them in my bag, and I roll this up, with it. And then when I'm done swimming and I've rinsed this out at the pool, then I'll just throw it into the dry bag and roll it up. You can also throw it into a plastic bag, and I roll it up and I close it, and then it keeps all of the rest of the stuff in my swimming bag wet. I always, always, always recommend having a bag that can fit your tail into it, a plastic bag or some other kind of dry bag, just in case you need to put a wet tail into your bag. That could be whether you're going on a longer vacation or you're just traveling to the pool. It's really handy to have one of these. And try your best if you're going somewhere or you have a long travel time, so say more than a couple of hours. You're going to be on an airplane, you're going to be having it in the car for a road trip, whatever, that you dry your tail as much as possible. And that's one of the reasons that I always recommend traveling with a fabric tail because they're lightweight, they dry pretty quickly compared to a silicone tail or a neoprene tail. These guys are going to dry super quickly, they're going to be super light to carry, and if you need to, you can stick them in a bag to keep the rest of your stuff dry. So if I was to go to the pool now, I can either stick this in my bag with monofins, or I could stick this in my swim bag and then carry the monofins separately, and I'm good to go. Also, in a dry bag or with my tail, I can stick things like the neoprene cover for my fin fun tails if I'm using that. This is wet. I want to put the monofin into my mesh bag to dry, and I can put this in the neoprene, in the dry bag or the plastic bag to worry about when I get home and hang it up separately. The next thing I want to talk about is how to travel with your monofins on an airplane. So this is my third time bringing my monofins back and forth from school to home. And there are a couple of options for you, but there are also a couple special concerns when you are traveling on an aircraft. So the first decision you have to make is whether you're going to take your tail carry-on or in your checked bag. Here's the thing. Most adult monofins are too big to carry just flat as checked luggage. You do have a couple of options. Your tail, whatever, can fit in your backpack. If it's a fabric tail and it rolls up like this, I can easily throw this into my backpack and take it as checked luggage. No problem. This, however, is a little bit trickier. This and my Mahina are my two largest fins, and they are just awkward to carry around the airport. Fortunately, however, my Mahina and my Rapid are flexible enough where I can roll them like so. And what I do after this is I either put them in a bag that will keep them rolled, or I put a strap around them and carry them. This can fit in the overhead or under the seat in front of you, and most airlines will accept this as a piece of carry-on luggage. The one thing that you want to be really careful about is that you're not going to put any pressure on the folded part of your tail, because that can lead, especially in the Rapid, that can lead to cracks. And then as soon as you get to your destination, off the plane, whatever, opening it up and, letting it come back to its normal shape. It shouldn't do too much damage to your tail to carry it like that for a couple hours or so. The Mahina, it's not going to do hardly any long-term damage whatsoever. The same thing, you just fold it in half, and this actually folds better. Fold it in half, put a strap around it, carry it either by the foot pockets or like this. You can slide it under the seat in front of you. You can slide it in the overhead bin. This is going to count, though, as one of your pieces of carry-on luggage. So your purse and your monofin, your backpack and your monofin. You're not going to be able to take this as a third piece of luggage. Now, this option doesn't work if you have a stiffer blade like the Aquarius or a fiberglass fin. A fiberglass fin, what you're going to want to do is you're going to either want to take it and package it up in a box really well so that if anything sits on it, it's not going to snap. Or you want to put it into a hard-sided suitcase. So let's get into our second option, which is how to travel with a monofin in your checked luggage. So any of the monofins that can be folded up obviously are okay to put into a soft-sided suitcase like a duffel bag. The Rapid is okay to put in a duffel bag. You have to be a little bit careful, though, about the straps. So make sure that you wrap the straps, in your tail or in another piece of clothing, just to make sure that something doesn't smash the buckles by accident. The easiest way to do this is to just take off the buckles when you're traveling with it and just rolling them up or sliding them in a water bottle or something like that. The second thing, You know, a Mahina, obviously, you can fold, you can squish into any suitcase, it's going to be fine. The same thing with the Luna. You're really not going to do too much damage to them because they're flexible. You can shove them in a duffel bag, they'll be okay. If you're traveling with a more fragile monofin, say a competitor or a shooter monofin, anything with a fiberglass blade, or even your Aquarius monofin, you're going to want a hard-sided suitcase to put those in. So something like this, which is going to resist bending when it's being tossed around by the luggage handlers. This is going to be the first line of defense against your monofin being cracked or broken. Now, I am going to be bringing my mythic tail to the Bahamas, which has a shooter monofin, and it also has its resin scales. So I'm going to be putting it into this hard-sided suitcase, and I'm going to show you how I did that really quickly just now. So this is what my mythic tail looks like when I've packed it into the hard-sided suitcase. I have, protecting it, I have some old pillowcases and sheets that I've just draped over the fin to prevent it from rubbing on the inside of the suitcase or any other things that I put inside the suitcase. As you can see, the fluke itself is folded. Now this is a silicone fluke, so it is floppy and it is durable. But I want to make sure that the monofin itself, so this is where the monofin ends, the monofin itself isn't bent in any way. Because this is a shooter monofin, which is a fiberglass monofin. And if this was bent and somebody accidentally put pressure on it in the wrong way, it can potentially snap in my suitcase. So I want to be really careful with it. The other thing about this tail is that it's got resin scales, and the paint can actually chip off the resin scales in the suitcase or by rubbing against each other in the suitcase. So what I've done to prevent that is between each fold, I've put a layer of sheet. So this is actually a pillowcase, but as you can see, this is one fold of the tail, and I'm just going to drape the pillowcase over that so that when I fold it, the scales on the back of this aren't rubbing against the monofin. Now, when I'm folding the fluke, I want to be really careful that none of it is going to get trapped in the zipper. So I'm just going to fold it like this and like this as much as I can, and you want to give it as much room as you can afford. So if that means taking a really large suitcase and asking some family members or some friends, whoever you're traveling with, if they want to share one big checked suitcase as opposed to all having individual suitcases and then you have this big suitcase, that's a really great idea. It also helps because then, their clothes, your clothes on the other side of the suitcase are going to fill out the space, meaning that the tail itself isn't going to jostle. This works for most silicone tails, and actually some other silicone tails might be a little bit easier to fold up, and obviously you don't have to worry about the resin scales. However, temperature variance in the plane itself might cause paint or some silicone to stick together, so I still would recommend putting a sheet between the layers of your tail or a towel just to help protect the tail a little bit more. In the past, when I've traveled with this tail, I have gotten checked by TSA. So what that means is they have to open the suitcase and they check out what's in the suitcase and they leave you a little note to say that they've done that. But you want to make sure that you're not shoving your tail in there in a way that is going to make it harder for them or is going to make it more likely that they might damage it in that process of checking your bag. So I'm just going to cover this guy up, tuck it in, and we should be good to go. Now, I also want to bring in this suitcase my Mahina and my Rapid monofin. So what I'm going to do, another point. So another point I want to make about this tail is which direction your fluke is going to go. So this side has the handle on it, and this side has the wheels on it. And as you can see, I've placed it so that my fluke is facing up. And what that means is the monofin, when I have the bag up and I'm rolling it, most of the weight is going to be on the foot pockets. And that is generally the strongest part of the monofin. The blade is going to be facing up. And that's really important because if I were to put it blade facing down and I started rolling it, I'm putting the whole weight of the tail on the blade. And a fiberglass blade might crack if I do this, because it's going to bow out. And you don't want to open your suitcase and have your tail be broken. That's just a really sad thing, because you don't get to use it at your destination, and you've broken your tail, probably through no fault of your own. Probably somebody else has handled it rough, but you know, you're not going to be handling your tail all the way through the process. So you just want to be really careful. So I recommend putting the foot pockets facing down or facing the wheels of your suitcase. And then you just fold your suitcase over, you zip it up, and you're ready to go. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all of your mermaid and non-mermaid friends. They're going to really appreciate it. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe below, click the red bar, and click the bell notification button next to it to get updated when I have my awesome videos coming out of swimming in the Bahamas. It's going to be awesome, I promise. Remember, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, type them down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, if I missed anything that you do to travel with your mermaid tails, any advice that you have, tips that you have, make sure to comment those down below as well. Follow me on all my social media platforms to stay updated on when I will be releasing videos in the next couple weeks. That being said, happy swimming, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time if you're on spring break. And as always, happy swimming. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, fish friends.